Oh, man. You know it's not good when you look up somebody's Wikipedia page and you see last edit 12 minutes ago. You know this person is currently the subject of a discussion. Yeah, I did see this. You know, this is kind of just like I'm pretty sure we saw this with the previous Olympics as well. The people constantly asking what is a woman surprisingly don't know what a woman actually is. Iman Khalif is a cis woman with naturally higher levels of testosterone. Here. As if the satanic display at the opening ceremony wasn't enough. I think the satanic display they're referring to, it was either Antoinette having her head chopped off in the windows of the Parisian apartments, which isn't satanic, a metal band playing, which isn't satanic, a bunch of people eating at a table that was meant to recreate a feast of Dionysus, which isn't satanic, but even if it was meant to be the Last Supper, that would also not be satanic. Anyway, they're super mad because a woman's participating in the Olympics. Meet Iman Khalif, a boxer who was banned from the Women's World Box Championships in 2023 because he is a man. However, Khalif is being allowed to compete in women's Olympic boxing in Paris, just another reason to boycott the Olympics. I remember this drama from before. I remember back when, this is not the first time this has come up. In March 2023, Khalif was disqualified from the 2023 IBA Women's World Boxing Championship shortly before her gold medal bout against Yang Liu for failing a gender eligibility test. The International Boxing Association president Umar Kinlev said a DNA test showed Khalif to have XY chromosomes and that they were trying to fool their colleagues to pretend to be a woman. The International Olympic Committee had later said Khalif had been disqualified due to elevated levels of testosterone. In response, Khalif claimed the disqualification was a conspiracy to prevent an Algerian boxer from winning. That's true. They're always keeping the Algerians down, you know? The IBA was banned from running Olympic boxing events. Really? Why? Are they like a disreputable organization? The IBA was recognized by the International Olympic Committee as the international governing body for the sport of boxing until 2019, when the IOC suspended its recognition of the federation. In 2023, they formally stripped the IBA of its status. Banned from running the boxing competitions at the 2024 Summer Olympics in Paris. Different set of rules. I think Iman Khalif is intersex. Folks. The problem you're going to run into with high level... So any athlete who is participating in the Olympics is a genetic freak. Normal people can't be there. Sorry, folks. You have to be a freak to be there. And unfortunately for you women, I'm sorry, testosterone is in fact sport-winning juice. This is the reason why biologically men are better at basically every athletic task than women. I'm sorry, it's true. Come at me if you want. People get mad about this, by the way, sometimes. They're like, no, actually, despite literally all evidence, the difference isn't that big. It's pretty big, man. It's pretty big. It's crazy. You ever like play wrestle with your girl? Oh my God, it's pathetic, folks. It's not even. It's like you like feel a little bit bad, you know. She's like, no, and then you have to be like, you know, you gotta do a little push and pull here. Otherwise, it's not even fun. Okay, Bosch, to be fair, it's like 10% different across the board by weight. No, it's not. I mean, I guess it would depend specifically on the, I guess it would depend exactly like what type of strength or what. I'm not interested in litigating the issue. It's completely fine. One way or another, as I understand it, most of the women in athletic level competitions, a lot of them are going to have really high natural levels of testosterone because testosterone is the be strong juice, you know? Testosterone is the like be cool juice, basically. So invariably you're going to have examples of people who are, they have these, this is one of the ways in which they test, by the way, for the viability. Whether or not you are allowed to participate in the women's competitions, they do a testosterone check. You don't have to do that if you're a man, by the way. They check for like steroids or whatever, of course. Well, not really. A ton of those people are juiced, but whatever. Anyway, that's a different controversy. But some women just have naturally higher levels of testosterone, you know? Yeah, well, it's certainly an inelegant way of testing this subject. Many such cases, the radical dino. Vosh, the reason normies don't get this is because they don't see gender and sex expression as a spectrum. Yeah, well, there's a reason why, like, you know, basic biology textbook, when the advanced biology textbook walks in, right? Like, the right is all like, yeah, we support a factual, science-based understanding of sex, until any scientist with facts walks in. And they're like, well, hold on now. We're not interested in decades of, like, woke sexual taxonomy. Thank you. In reality, like, we don't actually have a strong the taxonomy of sex is a little more fragile than people think. In reality, things are very rarely like strongly different categories. You know, if you get into any technical field like engineering, you're gonna find that there are tons of examples of people being like, yeah, this is different from this because we said it is, and we just kind of work with that. It's like that for basically everything that exists in the real world. Yeah, exactly, Vermin. They're like, ah, well, all research ever done came from like this woke university, and by the woke university, they mean any university. Exactly. In reality, there are a bunch of like sex markers that we use to. I mean, you can hold on 1 second. Definition of sex. Me, me in 5th grade. Chiefly with reference to people, sexual activity, including specifically sexual intercourse. That's not what I mean. Something based on reproductive organs. But you can change reproductive organs. Here, scientific definition. It's like the gametes. But the problem with that is that usually the gametes are only useful descriptively in terms of a person's like sexual description, like what side of the taxonomy they fall into. The problem with that though is that like it's possible for a person to be all on one side in a bunch of different ways, but then on the other side in one specific way that leads to you getting kind of like a you know, I guess an imbalanced perception what a person's actually. Oh, hold on. I found this woke website. The National Institutes of Health. Sex and gender are different. Man, can't believe the woke left has infiltrated literally every element of academia. As a pharmacist who did taxonomy, it's so random and arbitrary sometimes. If you guys ever want to go down a rabbit hole on like the perils of taxonomy, learn about what we use to differentiate species, like animals, you know? And then if you look at it from a distance, it's like, oh, this looks simple. And then you look at it up close, like look at the asterisks next to that one. And it's like, okay, all right. So the real rule is whatever you feel like. I get it. Okay. So the real rule for animal taxonomy is just the vibes, basically. Like, all right, okay. I see. Yeah. Whatever makes you feel good. Archaeologists in a fight to the death, whether a dinosaur is a new species. Yeah, because they always want it to be a new one, because that means they get to stamp their name on it, you know? Vosh, while it's only in associates in biology, so far the definition we used was essentially a collection of traits. Yeah, but a collection of traits gets kind of fuzzy when you start talking about people for whom the traits are functionally not, like, aligned, right? You know? Like, so here's the question. This is, like, the litmus test that I've always proposed. I've never gotten a good answer on this, by the way, but this is what I've always proposed, and it reliably demonstrates, to me at least, sort of the insincerity of the conservative line on this, which is, at what point, like, if you had a, let's say, magical, whatever, a magical machine that could change a person, what changes would it have to make before a conservative would accept the fact that the person is changed into a different sex, right? Now, a conservative on this line doesn't believe sex and gender are different things. So if the sex changes, the gender must necessarily change as well, correct? The conservative denies that there's any kind of internal psychological component to gender. You know, for them, it's entirely physiological. So there would have to be like a physical change that would be holistic, that would make up the entirety of the change, you know? And you could say, okay, what if you went into the machine and the machine changed your gametes, like all of your cell DNA from XY to XX or vice versa, and that person stepped out the other side, and they looked exactly the same? Because all you've done is change XX to XY, XY to XX, or whatever else. You haven't, like, altered the composition of the body. Eventually, there will be hormonal changes over time, but, like, would that person then be the other sex? Have they changed completely? And I'd bet you dollars to donuts, if you took a person who looked like me but was, you know, all XX, like chromosomally up and down, they would say, no, that is actually not a female. It's like, okay, is OBS mad at me? OBS Studio disconnected, reconnecting. OBS Studio, you know, OBS, they don't like it. They don't like it when I get real with you on the gender and the sex, you know? They don't like it. To run down like 50 adjacent talking points and just get to the final point really quickly. The truth of the matter is that conservatives believe that soul has a gender. That in reality, one's sex is not determined by like biological characteristics. If you ask these questions and okay, what if you could change this? What if you could change this? You know, because we already have the ability to change a remarkable amount about the body, right? The idea that you can change your gender but not your sex, wrong. What the f do you think hormones do? Change your gender, motherfucker? I'm sorry. Do you think that like flooding a person's body with testosterone or estrogen and thereby causing like physiological changes to fat distribution and body development, do you think that's a gender change? No, you're changing sexual attributes, man. You can change sex. We don't have an ability yet to do the whole XY to XX thing, but honestly, with the way things are going, God only knows, you know? So the conservative line really is that like soul has a gender, which is obviously unscientific and unfalsifiable, but they use the scientific argument as like a pretext so they don't have to engage with that.